When I was young, I didn't really know what I was going to do when I got older. People kept asking me. But then eventually I thought that the idea of inventing things would be really cool. And the reason I thought that was because I read a quote from Arthur C. Clarke, which said that a sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. If you go back, say, 300 years, the things that we take for granted today you'd be burned at the stake for. Being able to fly. This is stuff that really would be considered magic in times past. They weren't even in the realm of magic. It actually goes beyond that. So I thought, well, if I can do some of those things, basically if I can advance technology, then that's like magic, and that would be really cool. If we can advance the knowledge of the world, if we can do things that expand the scope and scale of consciousness, then we're better able to ask the right questions and become more enlightened, and that's really the only way forward. You need to know how the universe works, and you need to know how the economy works, and you also need to be able to bring a lot of people together to work with you to create something, because it's very difficult to do something as an individual if it's significant technology. I think it's important to take feedback from your environment. You want to be as closed loop as possible. But if we hadn't responded to what people said, then we probably would not have been successful. So it's important to look for things like that and focus on them when you see them and correct your prior assumptions. And then going from PayPal, I thought, well, what are some of the other problems that are likely to most affect the future of humanity? The biggest terrestrial problem we've got is sustainable energy, but the production and consumption of energy in a sustainable manner. If we don't solve that this century, we're in deep trouble. And then the other one being the extension of life beyond Earth to make life multiplanetary. So the latter is the basis for SpaceX, and the former is the basis for Tesla and Solar City. And when I started SpaceX, initially I thought that, well, there's no way one could possibly start a rocket company. So I actually went to Russia 3 times to look at buying a refurbished ICBM. Because that was the best deal. So after my 3rd trip, I said, okay, well, what we really need to do here is try to solve the space transport problem, and started SpaceX. This was against the advice of pretty much everyone I talked to. It was tough going there in the beginning because I'd never built anything physical. So I had to figure out how to do all these things and bring together the right team of people. And we did all that and then failed times. It was tough going. But we learned with each successive flight, and we're able to, eventually with 4th flight in 2008, reach orbit. And that was also with the last bit of money that we had. So thank goodness that happened. There's a lot more that must happen beyond this in order for humanity to become a spacefaring civilization, ultimately a multi-planet species. And that's something I think it's vitally important. It's just really one of the most important things for the preservation and extension of consciousness. It's worth noting, as I'm sure people are aware, that the Earth has been around for 4 billion years, and civilization, at least in terms of having writing, has been around for 10,000 years, and that's being generous. It's really it's somewhat of a tenuous existence that civilization and consciousness as we know it has been on Earth. But even if it's sort of 99% likely, a 1% chance, it's still worth spending a fair bit of effort to ensure that we have backed up the biosphere, planetary redundancy, if you will. And so I think it's really quite important. And in order to do that, there's a breakthrough that needs to occur, which is to create a rapidly and completely reusable transport system to Mars, which is one of those things that's right on the borderline of impossible. But that's sort of the thing that we're going to try to achieve there with SpaceX. And then on the Tesla front, the goal with Tesla was really to try to show that what electric cars can do, because people had the wrong impression. So that's why we created the Tesla Roadster, to show that you can be fast, attractive, and long range. And so that, I think, is something worth noting. If you're going to create a company, the first thing you should try to do is create a working prototype. That's much more effective for convincing people. But I think the overarching point I want to make is that you guys are the magicians of the 21st century. Don't let anything hold you back. Imagination is the limit. And go out there and create some magic. Thank you.